Systems, and I'm the writer and producer of the stage play Different Shades of Lipstick, being presented by Pushing Through the Pain. And today we're interviewing with Mr. Melvin Byrd. Welcome, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, hello, hello.
It's nice of you to join us this evening.
It's good to be here.
I'd like to ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. We'd love to hear a little bit more about you. Now, Mr. Byrd does play the officer in Different Shades of Lipstick.
Yes, happy to play that role. I'm a middle-aged divorced dad, and I'm also recently engaged. Been acting for about 8 years now, I suppose, somewhere in there. I've always wanted to act. I've always wanted to be in movies. I love movies, and so I always wanted to give back to the thing that I love so much. I love to watch. I love to go to the movies. I like the quirky ones. I like the ones that make me feel something inside. So, and I tell you what, you get to watching so many movies and you start to look for those things that are different. Than you see some pretty horrible performances and you just think, oh, I could have done better than that. So
yeah.
A couple of years ago, somebody said, well, you're that good, do something. So that's why I got started in plays. And I tell you, I enjoy that so much because you're on stage and you can't stop. You have to keep going. I have been fortunate enough to be an extra in a couple of movies, and there's just a lot of standing around. So plays are definitely more fun for me than movies.
Wow, that's interesting. So would you say with plays versus anything else, is it the fact that you just kind of go with the flow, improvise, versus trying to get it perfect and redo it exactly right like they have on TV? Is that more so the chemistry is what your connection or your love for plays is?
I would say it's a little combination of both. You want to get it as close to the script as possible because there are different cues that other actors are waiting for, and they've been rehearsing their scripts. And so they know, they all do a little timing, I think, where you look for a certain word and then you use that as to let you know when it's your time to jump in. Not that you would know what everybody else's lines are, but you do get a timing down. And so I always try to make sure that I'm as close to the script as possible. But then there is that whole making it yours that is really important. So what I learned in the years that I've been doing this is that having word for word verbatim doesn't really make you a better actor. Making it yourself. One of my first directors told me, he said, don't act, be. And so I always try to do that as well. So I always look at it as, well, what would I say in this situation? How would I say it? What, emphasis, which words, where would I pause, things of that nature. So I try to do it as close to the script as possible, but also make it my own.
Now, when we did your audition virtually, and you did a wonderful job at the audition. Me and both the director were very impressed. I mean, you even had your body language. You had a lot of the script. I couldn't even tell if you were reading it or if you had memorized it, even at the audition, because it was that well. You embodied that character and you presented that character just as we imagined it to be.
Perfect.
And I was like, wow, this right here is the officer. I mean, you did so well during the audition. We were so very pleased
Thank you.
with that. How do you feel? I know that you're casting as the role of the officer. Is that role something entirely different from other roles that you've had before, or?
Yes. I have been fortunate enough not to have played the same role twice yet. So it's actually kind of funny that I'm an officer in this particular play. A couple of years ago, I did a play where I was a bad guy. So I had to deal with the law from the other side of it. So
I'm trying to visualize you being the bad guy because you're such a good officer, and I'm so like, I can't even see you as the bad guy because you do such a good job as the good guy. So I'm trying to imagine you as the bad guy, but that is definitely interesting because that's all I've seen from you, and so in my mind, it's hard for me to put you as a bad guy.
Well, good.
That should tell you exactly how well he's doing, people. Because I would never imagine you being a bad guy. Is that the type of role? Do you have a preference for like a type of role? If you had to pick your own role, what type of role would you enjoy playing the most?
Hmm. Um, I think I like comedic roles more, because it allows you to have a lot more fun. A lot of times it's been my experience so far that when I have to play a more serious role, I can't crack a smile. And it's very hard not to crack a smile. I think I have a pleasant air about me anyway, so I never really want to piss anybody off or make anybody mad. And it takes a lot of extra effort to get into that kind of a role where I have to be a bad guy or have to be, overly dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so yeah, I think if I had an opportunity to pick a role, it would be like in a buddy kind of comedy or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun to do.
So, in this particular production, how has it been working with the other cast members?
Oh wow, I wish that we had a lot more time together personally. I think because of reasons, that this is the time of the year, or this is the time that we're in right now, we have to do a lot of our rehearsals virtually. I wish we had a chance to interact on stage a lot more often. Maybe if we had more frequent in-person rehearsals, that way we can get the physical timing and the space down, because there's a fair amount of imagining what each person is going to be doing. And from this side of the screen, I can't really imagine how people are moving on the stage in the exact same way that you're imagining how people are moving on the stage as the director. So the only chance that we actually get to see, what in reality you really want is like on those few days where we have in-person rehearsals. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be definitely going to be something that we're going to have to work on. Spacing, making sure we don't bump into each other on the stage, things of that nature, understanding where, who's going to enter from stage left or who's going to be stage right, whatever. So that's the kind of things that I'm missing from the rehearsals that we have right now. But other than that, everything or everyone I think is wonderful. There have been some really, really good people doing great readings and really embodying their characters. And I get enthralled. I'm listening and I'm in it, so we've had these rehearsals sometimes where I feel like I'm listening in on somebody's conversation. I think it's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially some of the more dramatic scenes. I would wait for that part to come up. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this.
Absolutely.
Um, and there's another thing that I've noticed, particularly about yourself. If we are doing like a virtual rehearsal or even an in-person, and say we have to fill in for someone who's not there, I don't care what role it is that you fill in for, you're just good at it.
Oh, thank you.
You've been good at. It's like you switch. If you're able to switch role and be fully into that role. Like if you have to switch and take over for Darren or read for Darren, you do Darren just like Darren. I mean,
that's good considering I hardly ever see Darren.
I know. Or Darren, or if it was Derek, especially Derek. When you did Derek one day and filled in, I was like, oh man, I felt that.
Yeah, that role, where his lines in that role, his part of this play, I think are pivotal for understanding what happened to Sheila. And I mean, we get to hear Sheila's story a lot leading up to that point, and it is, I think, his part is just as powerful, and it has to be just as deep and as emotionally draining as hers is. And it would, in order for her to give hers more credit, it really has to be deep. And so I just imagine if I was in that situation, what would I do? And to me, if you don't have that lump in your throat when you're done with that, either reading it or watching it, we just didn't do enough. There wasn't enough effort put into it. That's powerful.
Yeah. We were at in-person rehearsal and you filled in one day, and I think I made a comment, I made a noise. I was like, oh. I heard the one next to me, she said something, the people in the back, next thing you know, we had an applause going on.
I wish I knew all the lines. I would have really, really did some justice to it, but I still had to read. So
that is definitely, I would say, is one of your strengths as an actor. You really embody and enjoy what you do, and you put yourself into it. And I can appreciate that. I love that about you as an actor personally. Let me ask you this too. Besides yourself, which of the characters do you think are really going to blow the audience away?
Ooh. I like Tina's role. I think hers is also as equally as powerful. Actually, all of the ladies in this play, the very meaning of this play, the different shades of lipstick, and the different women in each one with their own individual issues. I think everybody's roles are going to be important. But to me, just because of the subject matter, Tina's role is probably going to be the one that is going to get the most emotional, because there are very strong feelings about her situation on both sides. So yeah, I think she's either going to anger people or she's going to have people in tears, one of the two.
I think so.
Mhm.
I think so, because she does do the flip. Either you're gonna love her or you're not gonna like her.
Yeah.
That's definite about her
Absolutely.
role.
Mhm.
Um, you talked about that you've done acting in plays for a while. Tell us a little bit about your first role in a play.
Oh, my first play was a church play called the Missionary of Oz. So it was a spin on the Wizard of Oz, and my character in this was the Tin Man. And you want to talk about nerve wracking? I had never been on stage before in a play. And as I mentioned earlier, before we actually started our interview, the directors, I was blessed to have three of the directors they were phenomenal. They'd been doing this for a while. And so they really, really poured into me what they were looking for out of this character. And it was amazing because you never know, well, what is my motivation, as you hear people say all the time, you know? And it was, I think we were probably 4 months into rehearsals, because this was a very long play. I think we're 4 months into rehearsals, and I realized my character is angry. You know, the Tin Man, you think about it, in The Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man just wanted a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Without a heart, he was an angry person. You know, he was always fussing at the lion and always mad at the scarecrow, things of that nature. And once I figured that out, it was like, oh, okay, I can do angry. So now I knew, you know, but it was so much fun. We had a great time. And then fortunately for us, we had two shows. And that first show was nerve wracking, obviously, first time ever being in a play, just overly, the nerves were taking over. And once we got that first one out, the second show was so much better because everybody got the jitters out and everything just kind of flowed together and people were interacting and there was a little bit of ad-libbing and everybody was just in character for the second one. And it made it so much fun and so memorable. I really enjoyed it. I was hooked after the first time.
That's all it took was that first play.
Yep. Yep.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you was, what is your motivation for success, or your motivation for just in general, even if it's not related to acting or anything? What is your greatest motivation?
Sure. I would have to say it's my childhood growing up. I, like many of the people that grew up in my neighborhood and at the particular time in my life, we didn't have, we did without a lot. And so I've always operated under the idea that I would never, ever go back to that kind of a situation again. So, I don't know, maybe a lot of people out here that are going to watch this interview remember those great big old blocks of cheese and the boxes of powdered milk. I don't know who's out there going to watch this, but I had more than my fair share of those things in public assistance, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but as a child growing up in the 70s, it was very, very impactful. Let's put it that way. And the lesson that I and my siblings and most of the people that I grew up with was that this is not a way that you want to live. Mm-hmm. And so everything from going to school, getting an education, going out and finding and competing for the best jobs available and demanding fair payment and things of that nature, it's just been, just because I think so many people have looked at people that look like us and just discount and say, oh, you're not worth, or you can't do, or somehow you're lesser than. And that's not entirely true. Everybody can do or be whoever they want to be. And I just choose to go out and be 100%, be 100% authentic, be 100% real, to make sure that everybody understands where I'm coming from as far as why I'm doing or saying or being the person that I'm being. Because the last thing I want is anybody to take advantage of me or anybody I know. You understand?
That was
Mhm.
powerful, and it is so true. Um, I like that what you said. Um, I
Thank you.
was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you something else, but when you said that, um, it triggered. I do remember that. I do remember. Just reflecting on what you said, because yeah, I remember that big box of cheese. I don't know who made that cheese. It was good. It was. It was so
It didn't
good.
get good till it was halfway gone.
I remember those long lines that my
Hmm.
grandmother and parents went down there, and that box of kicks, and
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
that funny colored money.
King Captain Vitamin. What is Vitamin King? I remember those days, and I remember
Uh-huh.
um, it was a struggle trying to find a job. Yeah, I'm a '70s baby. Yeah, I do remember that, and yeah, you don't ever want to go back. No, not
No,
no.
nope,
I'm sorry.
absolutely
I,
not.
a cord fell. Let me ask you too. Let me ask you about the acting business in general. Um, what would you say were some of the challenges about approaching the acting business, or in
Mm.
the industry rather?
I think it's location. Unfortunately for us, we're not in a very theater or thespian rich area. And I mean that from the aspect of people who are doing it and people who enjoy that type of media. So we have few, and the really good plays are few and far between. So you can want to do it, and you can, like, I signed up on a service that helps you to find casting opportunities, and for me, most of the auditions are far away. Okay, so you're looking for people from areas that are greater than 250 miles outside of our circle here. So having an opportunity to audition for some of these roles and actually be a part of some of these productions is limited because of our location. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge here. Now, I'm not saying that, hey, if I really, 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 truly wanted to do something like this, a little bit more professionally, that I couldn't just up and move. But that's really not my motivation. I enjoy doing the plays that I've been able to be a part of. I wish we had more opportunities here. I realize also that I could also be part of the solution by writing. So if I wrote a play, maybe I could give someone else the opportunity to do a play. It's just not a skill I have at the moment, but it's something to think about.
Good. That is. Then I do hear that type of feedback that it's not a lot in this area, and unless you move to a densely populated area, or move somewhere like upstate, like New York or Atlanta, where there's a little bit
Mhm.
more
Yeah,
opportunity for that
absolutely.
industry, then you have a little bit more of a boost ahead, being in an area that's widely known for
Hmm.
productions of that sort.
Sure. Yep.
So I do see that as a challenge for this area, um, and that's one thing that I have also taken in consideration. I don't want to stop writing. I've enjoyed um, writing in this journey. I never thought about as far as the opportunity in this area, but if I'm able to create an opportunity, then why not? I'm not gonna let I wouldn't let I'm not gonna let the location hinder me from trying. So you
Absolutely.
never know
Absolutely.
where it might become a popular thing in the area.
Hmm.
So
And you're the writer and producer here and director. I mean, this is an opportunity that you created from your own, that came out of you. So I'm thankful. Thank you.
I thank you. I think we have received such great participation and feedback from the ones who have we've been able to cast for, and it's been a great journey and a great response we around, because you never know how things are going to be when you first come out. This is the first time this play has seen any stage.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so to see the characters come to life from paper for the very first time and to see how it all come together, it's been, like I said, it's been an awesome journey. It really has. Another thing that I wanted to ask you was about your uh, training. If you had any training, I think you did mention that you did receive some classes. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So as a part of the online service that I use, I get prompted quite a bit for these virtual classes, and so it had been probably a year since the last time I'd done anything, and the only thing that was going on at the time, it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic, were these virtual classes. So I started signing up and taking some of these virtual classes to learn from casting directors, where we reenact some movies that the casting directors themselves had worked on previously. And so each person got a role that was actually from a movie that you've already probably seen. And so they walked us through. We had our time with with the casting directors themselves. We got personal feedback from them. So I think for the investment and for the effort that it took to have the classes, I think that it was a good investment. It's always good to get feedback. We can record in the mirror, we can record on our phones, and we can listen to it, and we can critique ourselves. But there's nothing as fulfilling as having somebody who's seen hundreds and hundreds of actors audition for roles to give you their feedback on how your performance is, and allows you to kind of say, okay, well, I can't be but so bad because they think that I was pretty good at this. So
Right.
I think it's a value added. What is the word that I'm looking for? I'm looking for review. Yes. So it's a value added review. It's worth it. Take the opportunity. I think if I had the opportunity to go back and do it over again, I would have taken some real classes, maybe gone and applied to an actual thespian school and done some real training, because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but when you look at TV shows and movies now, there are a fair amount of repeat actors, and especially in roles for Black men. I sit there and I watch and I go, well, wait a minute, this is a show about a Black man in Atlanta, but the actor is British. Wait, no, the actor is African who is British. You couldn't get a Black man from Atlanta to play this role. But that guy's been trained. Yeah. And that's the difference. You can just put a Black guy in a role as a Black man, but that doesn't mean he knows how to act. So I would have gone back. If I had a chance to do it again, I would have really taken some formal lessons and really had an opportunity to do some real school.
Do you have any suggestions for any upcoming aspiring actors?
Do it.
Or advice?
Yes, do it. If you're an aspiring actor, find a play, no matter how small or how big, and do it. Because every single time you do a play, you learn something. So you get an opportunity to see behind the curtain, so to speak. Get an opportunity to feel out how directors direct and do their thing, and understand what an audience is looking for. So every chance, if you've ever desired to be in a play or do any type of television or movies, and you have an opportunity to audition for a role, do it. That's my advice.
I second that. Go out there and give it your best shot and just do it. Just do it. Don't be afraid to just do it. I mean, it might be scary, but you never know unless you try.
Yeah. And if I could add one more thing to that, everybody is scared. There isn't a person that auditions for a role for the first time and isn't scared. So just realize that you can use that to your benefit, because a lot of times what you're afraid of, that internal feeling that you get, that is that motivation that puts you in the emotional state you need to be in for the role that you're auditioning for. So use it.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you was, as far as if you had something that you wanted to say to your fans out there, what would you say to your fans?
I got fans. Thank you. No. I would say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a small part in, I mean, because every person that watches a play takes time out of their life to come and sit down for that play. And I don't take that lightly. I say thank you for believing, or for at least for trusting the people that are on the stage with your time and with your energy and efforts, and giving us an opportunity to entertain you. Because without those people, without the butts in the seats, so to speak, there'd be nobody for us to have a play for. So thank you.
And how do people connect with you? Or how do talent scouts or anything, what is the best way that people can connect and follow you?
And I believe that the address, I'm on Backstage. That's probably the best place for me. And it's backstage / and my name, Melvin Byrd, Byrd.
Okay. Do you have any social media, Instagrams or anything like that?
No. I got a little disgruntled with social media, so I stay off. I abstain. Yeah, yeah.
Well, is there any other last words that you would like to say before we end our interview today?
Come out and see 5 Shades of Lipstick. Bring your friends, and just trust us to make this a great adventure for you as well.
Yes. Please come out. Our production, Different Shades of Lipstick, will be on March 26th at 5 p.m. It's going to be in Newport News at Harvest Church. The address is 5889 Jefferson Avenue in Newport News, 23605. The tickets are $25. You can find them on Eventbrite or also on BookTix. If you have any questions, or if you have any comments or any feedback that you would like to leave for Mr. Byrd today, feel free to leave us a comment or some feedback. We have enjoyed you joining us this evening, and we appreciate you tuning in. And like I said, please come out and have a seat and be entertained for the very first time from Different Shades of Lipstick. Thank you so much, Mr. Byrd. It was a pleasure having you interview with us today. Many blessings to you. And thank you, audience. And everybody have a wonderful and blessed evening. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Bye.